everyone, Christina Burggraaf here. I thought of another idea for a long-form discussion video like I did before on the importance of celebrities interacting with fans. This time, I want to talk about self-shipping, or as it's sometimes also known as yume-shipping. There's already a few videos out there that explain what it is, but I figure I explain it in my own words, particularly because it needs to be talked about as it will be spread by people of my generation. Now, it's only been almost 2 months since I came out into the self-shipping community, but just like how it happens for a lot of self-shippers, I've actually been self-shipping for many years. I've started probably 16 years ago when I was 10. It started with Mario and Luigi, and I've been self-shipping with numerous other characters ever since. Now, people that aren't familiar with self-shipping are probably really confused right now. So let's ask some questions and put some terms and definitions on screen as I talk about them. What is self-shipping or yume-shipping? Well, first, let's talk about shipping, particularly for those that aren't part of my generation. Shipping is the act of pairing two people, usually fictional, that the viewer of the pair can see as being romantic. There is also polyshipping, which is more rare, but it supports 3 or more people in a romantic relationship. So now that we understand that, let's talk about what self-shipping or yume-shipping is. It's the fact of shipping yourself with one or more fictional characters. The term yume in yume-shipping comes from the Japanese word yume-joshi, which literally means dreaming girl, with yume meaning dream. So in other words, a yume-ship means a dream ship, which means that when you see someone ship themselves with a character, it's their own dream ship. Makes sense, right? Just to avoid using both terms all the time, however, I'm going to mainly use the term self-shipping in this video. Now, there are different types of self-ships. Most commonly, you'll see romantic ships in the community, but it's important to know that there are other types that aren't romantic, such as platonic and familial, along with others. So what's the appeal of self-shipping? Well, we all have favorite characters, right? Wouldn't it be fun to imagine yourself in the same universe as those characters? Well, what if they found their way to our world? People make AUs, or alternate universes, where people make their favorite characters into an idea that appeals to them. For example, one of the most popular AUs I see on Tumblr is the Cuphead Casino Cups AU, where Cuphead and Mugman work in the Devil's Casino and wear some snazzy outfits. Although they don't work in there canonically or in the official game or show, it's still a fun idea that people like to imagine and draw art for. Since us self-shippers obviously can't go inside the world of our favorite fictional characters, nor can fictional characters join our world in reality, although those would be so cool, we can imagine an AU where we are able to join their world or they join ours and picture what the characters would say, look like, and how they would act if they were in the same plane of reality as us. What are F/Os? FO stands for fictional other, which refers to the character that one has a relationship with, whether that's a romantic, platonic, or familial relationship. It's basically like how you may sometimes see S/O in texting, which stands for significant other. What are doubles? If you self-ship with one character and you find someone else that also ships with that character, that's known as a double. It can also be referred to as someone that shares your FO. If you are a non-sharer or someone that feels uncomfortable with doubles, that means that you don't feel comfortable interacting with people that self-ship with the same character as you. It's important when interacting with any self-shippers to get an idea of whether or not they're comfortable with doubles or sharing. As for me, I'm comfortable with sharing or doubles because I validate all relationships, and I think it's cool to meet other people that like the same fictional characters I do. If you don't feel comfortable sharing or having doubles, you can block the person, or A lot of times, people will put a hashtag of their ship, so if you still want to follow the person but don't want to see posts about the ship in your feed, you can go to your social media settings and mute the specific tag you don't want to see. Now, let's talk about what kinds of things can hurt self-shippers. I've already talked about non-sharers and people uncomfy with doubles. Do not interact with doubles and non-sharers if they have the same FO as you. Doing so can make them feel jealous, depressed, or upset. You know how when you're in a real-life relationship that you don't want your boyfriend or girlfriend being with someone else? It works the same way for non-sharers. There's no need to put mean comments under non-sharers' posts saying things like, "This is my FO," or "I'm a better fit for your FO." Just be respectful and let people love what they want to love. You can't change or control who someone loves. That's up to them. Another thing that hurts should be obvious, but it has to be said, is making fun of self-shippers, whether that be through words, art, or any other medium. I know that outside of the community, it may seem kind of strange to be in love with a fictional character in the way we do, but there's no need for disrespect. There's no need for comments like, "This character isn't real." Most, if not all, self-shippers find that obvious, so that kind of comment isn't helpful for them. Now, I'll get into when self-shipping gets problematic in a moment, but it's important, even when someone believes their FOs are real, to show respect and kindness to those in the community. This world is in too much fire as it is. We don't need more hurt and judgment. My motto, after all, is what the world needs is love. So how can you support and help those in the community? Respect, validation, and communication are really key in understanding and supporting those who are in the self-shipping community. If you have questions about why they do what they do, don't be afraid to ask. Everyone loves talking about their interests, so questions will likely not offend those in the community as long as you're respectful about it. If you don't support the practice of self-shipping, you can still respect self-shippers by saying something like, "I respect you for your interest even though it's not my thing," and leaving it at that. Of course, if you're friends or have a close relationship with someone in the self-shipping community, spending quality time with them will be essential in keeping their mental health in check so that they don't only do things with their FOs and have problems, which again, I'll talk about soon. This is where we're going to start getting into the deep stuff regarding the title of this video. Self-shipping, is it beneficial or damaging? I get it. Most people may look at self-shippers and think they need therapy. Well, before we assume anything, let's keep in mind of why people are involved in self-shipping. You know how you have a favorite character because you either look up to them, want to be like them, you're physically attracted to them, or you relate to them? Particularly for those that have mental health problems and autism like me, those reasons for liking a character are amplified among self-shippers. Creating content and imagining scenarios with our FOs can actually be beneficial for our mental health. I live alone in an apartment, and I feel lonely very often, which is not good for my mental health even with having a dog in the apartment. It's not easy to get around to see my family and go places without asking for rides. Imagining my current FO, Toe Jam from Toe Jam and Earl, as a roommate or going on pretend adventures with him helps me to not feel so alone. Yes, the interactions with him are not real, I know that, but it just keeps me happy in this dark world. In fact, I think it's thanks to Toe Jam, along with tips from my therapist, that I haven't had daytime panic attacks for a long time now. I still get panic attacks in my sleep every once in a while, but those can't really be prevented. Anyway, the point is, if I didn't have an FO to turn to when I feel mentally weak, I probably wouldn't even be here right now. And I'm sure that other self-shippers would say the same thing. Now, let's talk about when self-shipping would get problematic. And I know from some experience how problematic it can be and when it gets to a point that you need professional help. If you start to believe in a blurred or even erased line between reality and fiction, that's not good. And it's at least somewhat unfortunate that people have built more advanced technology, like devices that use AI, to get people confused on what's real and what's false or fake. In the coming days, I know it will only get harder to tell the difference, so you need to be able to keep an open mind and heart for your conscience to enter and tell you what's right and good. Another thing that can make self-shipping problematic is if the person starts to prioritize their FOs over real people. I've seen comments go viral on how there are self-shippers that have IRL partners, and it gets really hard to prioritize the IRL partner over the FOs because they're afraid to lose the FOs as well as the partner. This is what makes polyamorous relationships so difficult and why I don't plan on being polyamory. You start to prioritize one person over another, it gets the other person jealous and angry, but you don't want to lose them, so you spend extra time with them, but then the first person becomes jealous, so it just doesn't work out well, and you may end up just losing all of your partners. Even if you are shipping yourself with a fictional or not real character, you need to prioritize the people that are in your plane of existence. Otherwise, you'll easily lose friends and your relationship with your FOs will become toxic, even if the FOs will always fit your quote-unquote needs. Making your FOs as real as you can make them and having a real-life relationship with them is also a big no-no. That's probably the worst it can get. I've heard stories about people marrying their favorite characters, and that's just wrong. It really damages your mind because, again, you're having a hard time distinguishing reality and fiction, and you're also basically saying that fake things are more important than real people. Because that's the thing, fictional characters are more things than real people. If you feel like you need help prioritizing real people more than your FOs, talk to a therapist. I'm no therapist or professional, but here are some tips I can provide. 1. Limit time spent with your FOs. 2. Spend at least a few minutes with real people every day. Make the time longer if you have to. 3. Establish boundaries with your FOs so things don't go too far. Hopefully this will help you manage your fictional relationships. And just remember, even if you need to prioritize real people over your FOs would still support you and cheer you on if they were real. Heck, I'd say they'd even be proud of you. So in short, the answer to the question if self-shipping is beneficial or damaging is it depends on how you treat your relationships with your FOs. But hopefully we can all be compassionate and supportive of each other whether we're self-shippers or not, so that everyone is happy and the world becomes a better place. Feel free to let me know your thoughts on this topic in the comments. Just please be respectful, as you should under every post I and others make. If you're a self-shipper, how has self-shipping influenced you, and do you have other things you think people should know about it? If you're not a self-shipper and you have additional questions, don't be afraid to ask in the comments. I and possibly other self-shippers will be happy to help answer them for you. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you in another upload.